Hello, my name is Stephanie Garrison. I am a regional program manager with the Virginia Department of Juvenile Justice and the project manager for the Standardized Disposition Matrix project. Today, I am presenting training video to explain how court service units will implement the SDM statewide. DJJ uses structured decision-making assessments that are valid and reliable. DJJ has 3 standardized decision-making assessment tools that guide probation officers' recommendations. In 2003, DJJ incorporated the Detention Assessment Instrument, DAI, into our system. This assessment tool is used to make recommendations about placement of youth juveniles in the detention center. In 2007, DJJ incorporated the Youth Assessment Screening Instrument, YASI, into our system. The YASI is used to measure a child's risk level and service needs. In 2019, DJJ will incorporate the Standardized Disposition Matrix, SDM, assessment into our system. This assessment tool will guide our disposition recommendations.
My name is David Rigler. As a judge, I've been on the bench since July of 2012. I got involved with the development of the standardized dispositional matrix a couple of years ago. I was asked to attend a meeting about the process by which it was going to be developed. Several other judges, probation officers, court service unit directors attended the meeting, and Ms. Garrison and other members from DJJ explained how the process was going to be, and I was fortunate enough to be asked to participate in that process, and so I was part of the group that developed the matrix.
In 2017, the National Council on Crime and Delinquency conducted an analysis of the dispositions of youth in the state of Virginia with similar legal histories and petition offenses who were commitment eligible. The analysis assessed the fairness, equity, and reliability of DJJ's disposition recommendations. The analysis provided 3 key insights: inconsistent dispositions based on geography, inconsistent dispositions based on race, and inconsistent dispositions within the 34 court service unit.
Over the years, we have used professional judgment, the recommendations of the court service unit. Obviously, counsel for the Commonwealth and for the young people have made their positions available to the court, and input from parents on occasion. But now we have a tool that incorporates the risk assessment more directly. We've had access to the risk assessment for years, but this tool ties that risk assessment directly to the providing of services to the children and the families, and so that kind of closes that gap of the information about the risk and the ability to provide services to them in a way that's most cost effective and most useful to the community and to the families.
The purpose of an SDM is to bring a greater degree of consistency and reliability and equity to the assessment and decision-making process. The tool is designed to structure objective decisions in a juvenile court disposition hearing. It is also used to assist probation officers in making the most appropriate level of supervision recommendation. And finally, the purpose is to make informed decisions that are based on risk and offense severity.
The standardized dispositional matrix, along with professional judgment, and the one family, one judge rule is in place because we do get to know these families, and we do get to know the people that we're trying to help in a way that the tool can't really see. And so this does help us guide that decision. It is very helpful to have the known proven risk assessment be directly tied to.
What is the function of a disposition matrix? The disposition matrix will ensure that youth in similar situations will have similar and appropriate disposition recommendations. The SDM will allow DJJ to evaluate disposition recommendation practices. The SDM will allow DJJ to compare disposition trends. The SDM will provide stakeholder collaboration opportunities. And finally, the SDM assessment tool will not replace the expertise of probation officers.
I'm a deputy Commonwealth's attorney in the city of Fredericksburg. I've been a deputy Commonwealth's attorney here since June 2nd, 2018. And prior to that, I was a prosecutor for 18 years in the city of Charlottesville. It allows for court services for juvenile probation officers across the state to be making the same recommendations for similarly situated minors. Same offense, same background, and it allows the probation office that goes through the social history process, meets with the juveniles, does the disposition investigation, to be fair to minors across the state by having the same kinds of recommendations for consequences and services based on the same circumstances.
The design of the SDM. The SDM is designed with two axes. The top axis represents the seriousness of the current offense, and the left axis represents the youth's risk of future arrest. The design intersects the most serious and current offense with the risk of the child's future arrest. The design captures a different balance of levels of supervision and of custody. Each cell contains a least restrictive supervision option and the most restrictive supervision option. The matrix places youth along a continuum of disposition options. The design assists probation officers with making consistent, evidence-based, and data-driven disposition recommendations. What are the SDM eligible and non-eligible offenses? DJJ's SDM assessment and recommendation will be based on the most serious adjudicated offense category. The Youth Assessment Screening Instrument, YASI, will determine the risk level of a youth. DJJ's standardized disposition matrix assessment tool includes Class 1 misdemeanors and felonies. It excludes CHIN services and supervision, sex offenses, technical violations, summons, traffic offenses, summons, gaming offenses, local ordinances, and circuit court.
It certainly can be a tool to make the prosecutor's job easier and it can, more importantly, be a tool to make the prosecutor's job more effective. In reaching a disposition decision, the prosecutor, about what position to take at a disposition hearing, the prosecutor can know what's typical across the state for a similarly situated minor in terms of where court services is at, and can use that as a point of discussion for whether that's the right thing to happen for their case and advocate for that, or something different to happen, be that something more or something less. They can present and advocate for that, but they have more information about what is standard across the state for a minor in the same circumstances.
Who will be responsible for the SDM process? Probation officers are responsible for carrying out DJJ's entire SDM assessment process. Probation officers will explain the SDM assessment process to youth and their families. The SDM is informed by the YASI assessment tool. Probation officers will interview youth and families and complete the automated YASI instrument in DJJ's case management database. The automated SDM is also inside of DJJ's case management database. After the probation officer completes the YASI, they will complete the automated SDM assessment in the database. The SDM court report. Probation officers will print the SDM assessment report after completing the matrix in the database. The probation officer will file the SDM report with the court. If the court orders a social history after adjudication, the probation officer will include the SDM level of recommendation in the section of the social history.
Provides a point of impact for families to be able to understand more in talking with a juvenile probation officer about why the recommendation is a certain way. they can come to understand that that's something that exists across the state. You won't have a situation where a family in one part of the state has their teenager commits an offense and is in a certain set of circumstances, and the recommendation is, say, just probation. And yet that family might have family members in another area of the state where a teenager commits a very similar type of situation, and the recommendation is commitment, perhaps because there are less services, and the feeling is that there's a greater need for that. And so and it would be hard to understand the fairness of that, given that it's a use of incarceration, um, simply for the point of services. The tool allows for flexibility not only in providing for a range of options, but also courts are not bound by the matrix. It's a recommendation. Um, Prosecutors are not bound by the matrix, but it allows them to know what's standard across the state. It can provide a basis of discussion with the court services units regarding whether that's the right thing for the case that they have, or whether there are other things that need to happen. So a locality can reach the decision with the information. At the same time, it allows for court services to be providing not just the information, but also advocacy for an outcome that is fair to similarly situated teenagers across the state.
Separated hearing process. If a juvenile court has a criminal docket that is structured with separated hearings, adjudication, and disposition, the probation officer will start the SDM process after adjudication. If the court orders the probation officer to complete an SDM report or a social history, the probation officer will complete the assessment process prior to disposition and file the reports with the court. If a juvenile criminal court case is structured into one combined hearing, the probation officer will start the SDM process. After the arraignment, probation officers will provide a letter and ask the family to voluntarily participate in the SDM pre-adjudication process.
Tool simply guides the recommendations that are being made in order to focus us on the appropriate amount and availability of services. When we provide services to children that don't need them, or provide the wrong services to children, we're wasting money. We're not achieving the goal of rehabilitation. We're really just completely missing the mark. And so this is going to help focus us. It's not going to tell us what to do. This is not a check the box and do what the tool says. It is a instrument completely intended to help us focus on the appropriate level of intervention.
Level 1, referrals and reporting of outcomes to the court. Probation officers will make referrals to the court based on services ordered by the court. The level includes monitoring youth's compliance with court orders, referrals to various services. Case management is not included. Community supervision is not included. Level 2, post-disposition case management. Probation officers will make contact with a youth and parent or guardian at least one time per month. This level includes crisis intervention when the parent needs support. It may include referrals as needed to community-based services. Community supervision is not included. Supervision rules and supervision service plans are not included. Level 3, supervision. Probation supervision ordered by the court. Probation officers make face-to-face contact with the youth and their parents at least monthly. This level includes compliance with supervision rules and conditions. The probation officer completes a YASI, social history, and develops a case plan. And the frequency of contacts are based on the youth assessment screening tools risk level and the supervision level determined by the court service unit. Level 4. Level 4 is out-of-home placement. Probation officers will provide case management or probation supervision. The court may also order case management service to be provided by other agencies. This level includes residential placements, which include post-disposition detention sentences up to 30 days, post-dispositional detention program for 6 months, local or state-funded placements, private insurance placements. Probation officers or case managements are required to secure funding and placement prior to disposition. Level 5. Level 5 is the commitment to the Department of Juvenile Justice. Probation officers collaborate with direct care staff and provide parole supervision for youth who are placed in the custody of DJJ. Current placement options include Bon Air Correctional Center, community placement programs, DJJ continuum of residential or group home placements.
Every judge has heard there's no money for that, or the program that you think is appropriate for this child is full. There's a waiting list. So if we make sure that the money is spent only where it needs to be spent, that the people in the line waiting for the program are the appropriate people waiting in the line, then we help the people who need to be helped. We help people, families, far more effectively, and we use our limited resources in a much more cost-effective, appropriate way.
Next steps. In the fall of 2019, each court service unit director and regional program manager will implement the SDM procedure between August and December of 2019. The SDM procedure will be fully implemented statewide by January 1st, 2020. If you have any questions or need more information, please contact me, Stephanie Garrison, SDM Project Manager, at stephanie.garrison@djj.virginia.gov or at 804-338-7849.